Welcome to Author's Tales, where we go beyond the words and into the heart of the storyteller.
Every book holds a story, but beyond the pages lies something even greater: the journey. The long nights, the countless rewrites, the moment when doubt whispers and passion shouts back louder. This is where authors share their truth, the struggles, the breakthroughs, and the moments that made them believe in their story.
If you love a great story or dream of writing your own, you're in the right place.
Because every book has a voice, every author has a tale, and the best stories, they don't just get told, they get lived.
This is Author's Tales, where stories come to life. Jose, wow, I am so excited to have you on the show. Welcome to Author's Tales, my friend.
Excited to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we are talking about Winning the Day. What an incredible book. I got to tell you, it is, I've marked it up like you suggest that we should do in your book. What possessed you to share your journey in winning the day? Because it's a great book, and you have tons of books not only behind you but that you've read. Tell us about that.
I have books behind me, on the side of me, on the complete opposite side of me, in front of me, in that corner, this corner, on the floor. I mean, I have books everywhere. I am surrounded by mountains of books in my office, and it only continues to grow. Very intentionally. Not only am I a book collector, but I'm also a book reader. I'm a voracious reader. I read about a book a week, sometimes two a week. I haven't really tracked so far for 2025 in terms of like re-looking at my numbers. I do track everything, but I haven't like gotten my actual numbers for this year. But I know I'm doing really well to an average of two a week. So things are good. What compelled me to write this book essentially is the fact that I love reading, and I think the lowest hanging fruit that most people don't even bother to pay attention to is reading. And if you would just make the habit, install the habit in your life, a productive habit of reading, it's amazing how it can literally take your life from where it is now to where you want it to go. The next level of your life, personally and professionally, can be directly impacted in a positive manner by simply choosing to read books on a daily basis.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You talk about some really, really important things on the just the title, Winning the Day. How'd you come up with that title?
Because a lot of us take a L. We take a L, a loss, first thing in the morning,
Oof.
right? Before we even get into the day, we've already taken an L, and we can't start in a negative momentum. We have to start in positive momentum. And I think everything starts and ends with thought, right? So how we think is going to be what that gravitational pull towards success. And how we think in the morning is directly linked to what we were thinking before we went to bed the night before, right? So how you go to bed is how you're going to wake up, and you have to make sure that you're monitoring your thoughts. But again, so winning the day, we have to win each and every single day because it's cumulative. Negative behaviors, poor decisions, lack of discipline compounds over time, as does extreme discipline, good habits, consistency, right choices. Those compound over time too. So I'll give you an example. When somebody gets divorced, did that happen overnight?
Oof.
No, it didn't. It happened because of a series of poor decisions over time. When somebody, used to weigh 150 pounds and ends up being 250 pounds, did that happen overnight? No. It was a series of decisions. If somebody was 300 pounds and gets down to 180, did that happen overnight? No. It's the reverse effect of positive decisions that change that behavior, the results. So life is about winning each and every single day individually. So for me, I don't start my day taking an L, right? The minute you hit the snooze button on your alarm, you've taken the first loss of your day. So I start winning from the very first decision that I make. And then that leads to momentum, because momentum begets more momentum. And that's the key. So you have to choose to win the day every single day. And
Mm.
most importantly, one day at a time.
No wonder you wrote the name of that book, Winning the Day, right? Jose, I got to tell you, when you and I fully connected, I just love the energy that you bring to everything you do. What's and I love this aspect of what you want to talk about. Why is waking up early such an important factor in your daily routine?
So outside of all of the details, which you can go and do your own research and data, the 5 a.m. club, you can even Google it, the importance of the waking hour, the 5 to 6 a.m. they say is a strong time where you are just connected to the earth in a really a
Mhm.
unique way, and you can actually get more done in that time. And all the different things that go into that biochemically and all kinds of things. But outside of that, right, if we were just to look at the very basic fundamental principle, that that is the best time where you are distraction free, in the sense that there's no pets to feed, to walk, there is no spouse that's going to ask you to spend some time with them or need a favor, there's no kids tugging at your leg or asking to be fed or anything like that, there is no pings happening on your social media because people are sleeping, generally speaking, for the most part. There is no emails that are coming in consistently at that time.
Mhm.
There is nothing. There is no employees that need your support or some help at that time, or a boss or a manager saying, "Hey, I need you to do this for me." Like, the morning routine is such a sacred, special time that is you time, because
Mhm.
throughout the day, assuming that you're a person who has a family and maybe has a spouse and has kids and has a profession and a career, and even if you don't have all those things and you just have some of those things, that requires you. It requires you to be at your best to be able to pour out into these people and these things and the activities and all those things. So you cannot pour out of an empty cup, right?
Mhm.
You cannot give what you don't have. So the morning routine is all about self care, and self care is self love. If you love yourself, you have to care for yourself. And that means you got to pour into yourself at the highest levels, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, all the E's, right? There's 10 different life domains. You got to feed into these different places in the morning routine, and nobody's distracting you. And that discipline and that success habit, if you're doing it consistently, at least Monday through Friday, I can tell you right now, it can literally change the entire
Yeah.
trajectory of your life forever. And it has done it for me. And I know many people that have taken my morning evening routine mastery program. I know many people that have read my book that can come back and say the same thing, that installing a morning routine can improve your life dramatically. So that's why I say it's so important to wake up early, because that's when you can pour into you at the highest level, so you can then pour into other people at the best, in the best possible way, right? So
Mhm.
if you want to be a great husband, if you want to be a great wife, you want to be a great parent, you want to be a great employee, or you want to be a great boss, or you want to be a great team player, or whatever it is that you're doing and how you're showing up in the world on a personal and professional level, you have to give the best to yourself on all levels in your morning routine. And then as you deplete yourself throughout the day and pouring into everybody else, guess what? You fill yourself back up in the evening routine. And I
Mhm.
call that the bookends of your day. And if you start a certain way and you end a certain way, pouring into yourself, you will always be firing on all cylinders at the highest level.
I love it. I love it. And here we have the secret sauce is the evening routine. One of the things that you said, which really piqued my interest, is that you have a program that people can follow. Tell us a little bit about that, and can people still purchase that program?
Yeah, it's called the Morning and Evening Routine Mastery Program.
Mhm.
It's been a program that really is what kind of put me on the map as an entrepreneur. When I started my first two businesses back on January 15th of 2022, 3.5 years ago, slightly over that, the first two things I came out with was my morning evening routine mastery program, which was under my company, the Entrepreneur's Bookshelf, and the Connected Leaders Academy, which was my networking organization of entrepreneurs globally. So those two things kind of put me on the map. And that program has been going since then, and it's still going strong to this day.
Mm,
Still available for anybody who wants to take it. But essentially, that program is what actually led me to write the book, because I said, oh my gosh, I'm changing people's lives. In 8 weeks, people are learning what it took me to do in 1 year, of
mhm.
course, of a decade of research and learning and growing. That decade, I did it for myself in 1 year in terms of implementation. And then I took not only the 10 years plus of learning about it, I took the 1 year of actually doing it for myself and changing my life in 1 year, which I talk about that transformational story in this book. And then from there, I said, heck, I can teach people how to do this in 8 weeks. Right.
Mm.
And that's when I launched the course, and people have been taking it ever since. There's been many people that I, can name, but they know who they are. The first person who ever did it was the Wise Wolf, Raul Marin, all
Mhm.
right, and many others. So just super super excited about it, and yeah. So hopefully that answers your question. I know you were talking about the evening routine, I believe.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, the whole thing, I think it all goes together, right? You can't have, and you even write it in your book, your morning is set up by your evening, right?
Yes.
You have to preset that up. And one of the things that I love that you say also is that if you don't finish what you're supposed to finish in the evening, you're just adding to your morning. Talk
Yeah.
to me about
I,
that part.
I can tell you a lot of folks that I talk to, and I've had extensive, countless conversations with people about their morning routine and their evening routine, because
Mhm.
whenever I do coaching on any level for another entrepreneur, or people reach out to me as CLA members, one of the benefits of being in the CLA is you can book a call with me once a month for 30 minutes at no charge, just kind of built into the membership as an added value for coaching, mentorship, whatever it is. All these conversations I've had for a long time, I always ask people, what is your morning routine and evening routine? I have that question all the time, kind of tucked
Mhm.
away in what I talk about. A, because I love to talk about it. B, because I always find that so many people have holes in there. And if I can just show up and add value to somebody by plugging one of those holes and saying, hey, put this in there and see what it does for you, right? It brings
Mhm.
me great joy to see people come back and say, Jose, thank you so much for that piece of advice. It helped me in this way, right? Because that's what life's about, helping other people, serving other people. So, one of the biggest things I found is everyone, not everyone, I'm talking about high performers, titans of industry, movers and shakers, generally speaking, people that are doing something significant in their professional life as well as their personal life. Usually, those people have a morning routine of some kind,
Right.
right? And but what I found is that easily over half of those people that have a morning routine that are doing it don't have an evening routine.
Mm.
They just have the morning routine, and they forgot, oh my gosh, there's something called an evening routine. What is that? Right? Some people have no clue what that even means. In their mind, an evening routine is what you do before you go to bed, which is, you might brush your teeth, you might turn the lights down a little bit in your room, you might set the ambiance and warm up your pillows. Maybe if you have a warm blanket, put it on so it starts to warm up nicely. Fluff your pillows. You might get your glass of water and put it by your nightstand. Like, that's called a bedtime routine, folks. That's a bedtime routine. That's not an evening routine. So people are like, oh wait, that's not an evening routine. So what is the evening routine? So the evening routine is the same concept as a morning routine. The only difference is you're doing it on the other end of the day, right? You're doing it
Mm.
before you go to bed. Before you even start your bedtime routine, you do your evening routine. And the evening routine is designed to pour into you, back into you again, just like you did in the morning at the highest level, such as
Mhm.
maybe another round of reading, uh, more prayer, maybe some journaling, maybe some reflection of your day. How did my day go? Let me observe my day. Let me do some examination of my conscience and see, where did I fall short? Where did I do really well? Where did I lack integrity? Or where wasn't I a good human being? Where did I lack patience with someone? Where just be open and honest with yourself and be real and ask yourself the hard questions, because we're not perfect. People make mistakes. And
Mhm.
a lot of times, if you don't acknowledge those mistakes, you're going to repeat them over and over and over because you don't learn from it. The only way you learn from it is to take the reflection, the time that you reflect, and you turn it into insights that now can change how you show up the next day. But if you don't take time to reflect, you're not going to get the insights you need to say, I need to be better than this. I can't behave that way. I can't cut somebody off the way I did today. I can't tailgate that person because they're going too slow, or honk at this poor old lady that I went around, and who knows, it could have been somebody else's grandmother, So these are the things that we do in the evening routine. I'm just naming a couple: personal project time. I mean, the list goes on. The commonplace, and these are things you do in your evening routine that pour into you and fill you back in, and you
Mm.
plan your schedule for the next day. You don't plan your schedule the morning of; the day has already started, right? The chains are moving. You're behind. If you're doing your schedule for the day in the morning, you're behind the eight ball. You have to do your schedule the night before and say, what does tomorrow look like? What is my top priority? What are my three non-negotiables? What does my calendar look like? What appointments do I have? Who do I need to call? Who do I need to follow up with? What needs to happen? What are my daily tasks? All the things you got to have that's done the night before. So if you're doing this on the bookends of your day, you start your day the right way and you end your day the right way. By the time you go to bed, and guess what? You're going to be excited to wake up the next day. And that's the power of a strong evening routine. And most people, have a morning routine that's not effective, that's outdated, and lacks a lot of things. And B, the other half of that is many people don't even have an evening routine. So that's what I've picked up on with many conversations I've had.
I'm sure. When you consider somebody who has the initial routine that you mentioned, just brushing their teeth and getting a glass of water and sitting it next to their night table, and then just shutting the light and going to sleep. But some people think that's an evening routine. How do we start to establish an evening routine and even establishing a morning routine? Some people say, well, I do this in the last 15 minutes before I go to sleep, or I do this in the last 20, 30 minutes. What is the best way that somebody can start
Yeah,
any of those two routines?
I would like to preface what I'm about to say by saying the same issue I just mentioned, the evening routine, applies in the morning routine. People
Mhm,
wake up and they walk their dog, they read the paper, they have a coffee, they have breakfast. Like they say, that's my morning routine. I'm like, no, no, no. Then they shower and they get dressed. That's not a routine. That's the daily things you do in the morning to get your day going. That is not a morning routine, right? So a morning routine is different. It's the extra things that you're doing to elevate yourself personally and professionally, to pour into you, like prayer, like reading, like breath work, like physical fitness, like journaling, like affirmations, visualizations, all the things that we do on the front end. That is a morning routine, not eating breakfast and taking a shower and brushing your teeth and using the bathroom and walking your dog and reading the paper or watching the news in the morning. Like
mhm,
that's all different. That's just things that you do, right? So same concept on both ends of the spectrum. Don't confuse a process of what you do in the morning and evening with an actual morning and evening routine for the sake of personal and professional development. Now, to answer your question, where can people start? It is very, very simple.
mhm.
Jim Quick
Can I
talked.
can I interject? Uh,
Yes.
Pick up the book.
Yeah,
Pick up the book, people.
yeah.
So here, before the Jose goes on, you can pick up Winning the Day. Go to winningthedaybook.com. Can't get any simpler than that. Go there, buy yourself a copy. And here's the thing: you want to impact other people in your life? Pick up a few copies and hand them out to the people that matter. I'm sorry, Jose, I just had to get that out.
Thank you. If you go to the website, winningthedaybook.com, notice how the word book is at the end of the title of the book. So winningthedaybook.com, you can get signed personalized copies, right? So if you go to that website, that's my landing page, you'll actually get a signed personalized copy from me, and I'll mail it out to you first thing this week. So just know that in terms of the answering your question, Jim Quick talks about it in what is this book called, Limitless. And then James Clear talks about it in his book Atomic Habits,
Mhm,
which I referenced both of those books in this book, right? And they talk about small, simple steps, triple S, small, simple steps. Nobody's asking you to go overnight and start waking up at 4 a.m. and having
mhm,
a 3 hour morning routine and doing that for the rest of your life. Because if you're not doing that, if you're waking up at 8 a.m. every day right now and you have no morning routine, I assure you it's not sustainable. I can almost guarantee you with
mhm.
certainty, not a guarantee, but I can almost guarantee you with certainty, unless you're the very, very rare case out there, and there are rare cases, but If you're not that, that is not going to last. You might last 2 days, you might last a week, maybe 2 weeks if you're lucky. And if you're really lucky, you'll last 30 days.
Mm.
But after that, you will fall off, and then you're going to feel overwhelmed. You're going to feel like it was too much, and you're not going to want to go back to it because you're going to say it's just not for me. And the reason it's not for you is because you threw yourself into the deep end without knowing how to swim.
Mhm.
Okay. And no habits, no structure, don't have the muscles to keep yourself up. And if you're trying to tread water indefinitely, what eventually happens? You drown, right?
That's right.
So here, with what I recommend on both sides of the spectrum is just start with 10 minutes and 10 minutes on both sides of the fence, right? And just maybe do two things in the morning and two things in the evening. So when
Mhm.
you wake up, before you go and you start walking the dog and you start getting coffee and whatever, all the things you do, maybe in the morning you just pray for 5 minutes,
Mhm.
and then you maybe journal for 5 minutes, or maybe pray and maybe do some affirmations for 2.5 minutes and do some visualization for 2.5 minutes, whatever it is. And in this book, I talk about all kinds of ideas of what you can do in your morning routine and all kinds of ideas of what you can do in your evening routine. You don't have to do it all. You just find what speaks to you based on where you are and where you want to go. Right. So essentially 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening. And then over time, you're going to add more time and more time and more time to eventually where you're doing an hour in the morning. Right.
Mhm.
And then you might do 30 minutes at night, whatever it is. And now for me, I have graduated to the point where I'm doing 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. Right. So Monday through Friday, it's 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. That's 3 hours. And people are like, what in the world do you do with 3 hours? Well, there's a lot. And as a matter of fact, there's more I'd like to do in there, but I just don't have the time anymore because I think 3 hours is more than enough. So, frankly, I don't think everybody needs 3 hours, right? I have 3 hours because I have a wife that I'm happily married to. I have 6 kids that I have to attend to. I have 2 businesses with multiple income streams. And I also have to take care of my health and many other things. So, because of the nature of how much I have on my plate, 3 hours is what I need, right? And
Mhm.
everybody's different. So, I would say if you're waking up at 8 a.m., reverse the clock and wake up at 7:30,
Yeah.
right? Maybe 7:45 if it's too much, or 7:30, but start small. Don't go from 8 to 5 a.m. because it's not going to last. Just work your way little by little, right? Until you're waking up. The goal is to wake up before the sun comes up. Goal
Mhm.
number one, wake up before the sun comes up. Number two, wake up before everybody else in your house wakes up. And number three, make sure you're distraction free. Usually that's between 5 and 6 a.m.
Yeah, I love it. I love that. I gotta tell you, Jose, I was, I'm a light sleeper, and when my brother came back from boot camp when I was 14, he shakes me up, makes me go running with him. I didn't know we were running. Thank God he told me to put on my sneakers on, and we ran for 12 miles. And we did that day 1, we did that day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, every day. He's shaking me, waking me up. Let's go, let's go. Guess who's waking him up at day 7?
You?
I am waking him up. He's like, no, I got to go back to boot camp. I'm like, you started this mess. We're going. And for many, many years, I would run several hours. I would start at 4 in the morning. And it started with 12 miles an hour. And then after that, I was just running. I would used to run, not jog, because jogging was not what my brother taught me. It was run. And I would run for 2 hours,
Wow.
literally run. And I did that for many, 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 many years. And it taught me that I needed to, like you, kind of selfish. Right? You're selfish because you're providing not only such great insights to everybody who comes across you. You're providing for your family. You are there for them when it's you're in front of them, but you do all the right things for you in the morning and even the evening so that you can be the full and the best dad you can be. With 6 kids, oh my gosh. And with a beautiful wife like Katie, yeah, absolutely. So I admire what you have done and what you continue to do and what you're helping people learned to accomplish. I think this is more than a book. I think this, I got to tell you, this is an agenda, if you will. It's for me, the way I see it is telling people how to live better. I want to get into to the next part of what you talk about so much in the book, and it's the power of reading. Why is that, and how did that even transform you?
There is a amazing quote in this book. I just went to the page because I've read this book many times after I launched it, right? So
Mm,
it says, "The man who does not read good books has no advantage over the man who cannot read."
mm.
I'll say that one more time for the people in the back. The man who does not read good books has no advantage over the man who cannot read. That's Mark Twain, quote by Mark
Mhm,
Twain. Now, I put that in there as a preface to my chapter on the power of reading in the book because the one of the richest places in the world that somebody could go to that costs you little to no money, right? And I'm not talking about the cemetery like Les Brown talks about all the time, because that's very rich of things that never happened because people left good intentions unexecuted, right? So I'm talking about the library.
yeah.
I'm talking about Barnes and Noble, your local bookstore. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Amazon cart, right, on books. So this is the lowest hanging fruit. It is one of the most inexpensive ways to level up your life personally and professionally without spending thousands, hundreds, tens of thousands of dollars. I have invested multi six figures, Sifu,
Mhm,
full disclosure, in the last 5 years and even more in the last 2 decades collectively on personal development.
mhm,
And I can tell you one of the biggest things that has allowed me to improve my life in the beginning phase, and even to this day, but in the beginning, when I didn't have money to invest in the coach and the mentor and the high ticket courses and the programs and the masterminds and the live events, when I didn't have that money, it's amazing how you can just go to the library and get a library card and you can check out powerful books that can change your life. You can
mhm,
go to Barnes and Noble and you can spend, I don't know, 15 to 30 bucks on a book that can change your life on any topic: finances, marriage, relationships, parenting, faith, health and wellness. I mean, you name it, any area of your life that you want to
mhm,
improve, there's a book out there. I promise you, there's thousands of books on that one thing that you need right now, today, that you can just go and get the book and read it. But the
mhm.
problem is what? I'll tell you what the problem is. There's two big problems. Problem number one is we're too lazy.
Ooh,
I'm sorry to say it, but that's very true. We're too lazy to sit down and read the book. And trust me, I've heard from people, "Oh, well, I'm not a good reader. I don't read like you, Jose." Do you even know how I read? Have you ever sat down with me and think how I read? Let me tell you something. Just because I read a lot of books doesn't mean I'm a phenomenal fast reader. As a matter of fact, I'm a below average reader, to be frank with you. It takes me a while to read books. And you know what's crazy is I'm the kind of guy who reads a book and then after reading for like 10 minutes, I'll start spacing out and I'll be like, wait, what was I just reading? And then I'll have to go back a page or two to kind of remember, oh, okay, I completely would have missed that if I didn't go back and actually read that. And then I keep reading. I'm a slow reader. And then I read. Then I start zoning out again. Then I'll go, oh, wait, what was I just reading? I'll go back. And it takes me a while to read, folks. But guess what? I put in the effort and the energy and the discipline to do that because I
mhm,
understand the value of reading. The second biggest thing I found outside of just sheer laziness is the fact that we all say we're too busy.
mhm,
Oh, I don't have the time to read. Jose, see, you don't understand how busy I am. Oh, I understand. Trust me, I understand. I'm married. I have to maintain my marriage and nurture that. I have 6 kids, and they all are different ages, and I got to cater to them in many different ways. And they're in activities and things that I need to support. And of course, I am also a son. I have two parents that need time, and I'm a brother. I have three brothers, and I have
mhm.
nephews. I gotta make sure I stay connected. I have a ton of friends. I'm a social guy. I got to keep my relationships going. You got to nurture friendships. Little side note. I have two businesses with tons of different things in the air that I got to maintain and I got to grow and build, and I can keep going. So when somebody says, Jose, I'm busy, I'm like, I get it. But what's outside of busyness? What's holding you back from reading? Oh no, it's just that. It's just I'm just too busy. I don't have time to read. I'm like, that's not an excuse. And I'll tell you why. Because we all have 24 hours in a day. We all have 24 hours in a day. And the fact that Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates, love them or hate him, is irrelevant. Even they can find time to read with what they're doing with their business. What's your excuse? You're not as busy as them, I promise you. Right. And some of the people I talk to aren't as busy as me. And they're saying I'm too busy. Right. And vice versa. So it really goes down to, is reading a priority? That's what it is. It's just reframing the language. It's not, do I have the time? It's, is this a priority to me? If you see reading as a priority in your life and you understand the value of what it can do to impact and change your life, I don't care if it takes you a day to read 10 pages. If it takes you a whole day to read 10 pages, I'd rather you do that than not turn to pages at all. And I'm telling you, it can quite literally change your life. That is the power of reading. And so many people really don't grasp that. And again, and I will end on this note, reading a book from, I'll give you this example here. This is the one I'm reading as we speak, right? We're always reading something. I'm actually reading 5 books right now, but this is one of the books I'm reading. It's called The 5 Types of Wealth, right? Time, social, mental, physical, financial, a transformative guide. See, I'm not even a good reader. A transformative guide to design your dream life. And this is by Sahil Bloom, right? So this book is phenomenal. And I just started reading this. I'm like 20 or so pages in. So good. And guess what? This guy here has decades of knowledge and influence and expertise in this space of wealth, right? He has what I'm doing is I'm condensing his thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars he's invested. I'm taking that into $25. And I am taking his years and years of expertise and time that he's invested, right? Decades of wisdom. I am collapsing that into 1 week for $25, folks. Oof. That is a no-brainer. And imagine if you're doing that all the time in many different areas of your life, the game can change.
Oh my goodness. Jose, I got to tell you, I have clients, and when they were children, the way they got punished if they didn't behave was their parents would take away their books because they were not allowed to watch TV. So that was their entertainment. That was the way that they went somewhere different. This is how they saw the world through reading. And it was such a beautiful thing when my clients told me, yeah, I just punished my kids. I said, well, how'd you punish them? I took their books away. I'm like, oh, really? I'm like, that's pretty cool. What would you do? Because we are in a world of technology. And if all your books had to be taken, but they said you can only read on Kindle, would that make you happy or unhappy? I know what my answer would be.
It would be unhappy, unequivocally unhappy, because there's no question about it. I would be unhappy. Now, would I make do? Of course I'd make do, because I'm still getting the wisdom and the expertise and the knowledge and all that. So I'd make it work. But the reality is I'd be unhappy, because for me, there's something special about opening a book and you hear that sound of the spine and the smell of fresh new pages of a book, and then you doctor it up and put your own notes in there like you're having dialogue and a conversation with the author, and you put the dog ears in there and you put the notepads and the little sticky notes, and you have your own little side pieces and the highlighting and the underlining. That's called marginalia. When you're doing these wonderful things in these books, they become an extension of you. They become part of your mind, right? And the higher halls of intellect and the files of your brain. And it's just a wonderful thing. So I surround myself with books everywhere. This is a sneak peek, folks, for your show, Sifu. You see books over there. You see right there. You see my desk here with books. These are my TBR list right there. There's books here. There's books here. Right. There's books on my floor right here. There's books behind the big whiteboard over there. I mean, there's books everywhere. And the reality is I love being surrounded by books. You know why? Because it reminds me how ignorant I am. And
Mm,
ignorance is not a bad word. It just means you don't know that you don't know. It reminds me how little I know, and it keeps me
mm,
thirsty and hungry to be more knowledgeable and to seek more wisdom, because more wisdom means I have more to do, and I realize how little I know, and I stay hungry, and I know I haven't arrived. It's the people who think they know it all that all of a sudden get schooled and realize, oh my gosh, this is day one of me learning, because I thought I knew it all, but I really don't. So
mm.
this is my environment. I love it. It's my oasis. It's my hub. I can just sit on a chair made of books and read books with good coffee and cigar, and I will be a happy man in my senior days.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. I love it. When I did come over to your headquarters, you actually said, Sifu, pick a book, any book. What's the area that you want? And you even had your books sectioned off in areas, and you handed me a book, but then you go, wait a minute, you need to pick this one too. And then you gave me a bunch of books. Why is that such an important fact or thing that you do when anybody comes and visits you? Why is that so important for you?
The greatest gift I can give somebody is a gift to improve and change their lives.
Mm,
Right. And I can just tell you a piece of advice and leave it there, or I can give you something physical that you can hold on to and become a part one with, right? Join forces and become one with it and embrace it. And every time you open that book that I gave you, you're going to be, oh, I remember Jose gave me this book, right? So it keeps us connected long term versus just a thought that might stick or might not.
mhm,
So I always give value in that. So to me, I consider myself to be like a physician, right? When somebody comes over my house, instead of me saying, "Hey, I'll just pray for you," or I'll give you a couple of pieces of advice, I will say, "Hey, you know what? Let me prescribe you a couple of things. You know,
mhm,
this is what I would recommend you read based on this, or based on that, or based on that. Whatever your challenges are, wherever you want to go in life, I know which book is for you, and I can just say, "Hey, you need to read this book." Right?
mhm,
Mentors did that for me many times. I remember when I was in a relationship challenge and my first girlfriend at the time, and one of my mentors, Dr. Arlene George, said to me, and Dr. Leonard George, God rest his soul, he passed away, but they said, "Okay, you're dealing with these challenges. We'll be right back." They came, and they came back to me like this, and they said, "Here, you need to read these things here." And I'm like, really? And it was a Tender Warrior. It was Man of Steel and Velvet. It was Men Are from Mars, Women Are from Venus, and it was the Five Love Languages, and it was something else. They gave me like five
mhm,
books, and they said, "You need to read this." And I
mhm,
said, "Okay, cool." And that mentality, right? And he told me that day, he said, "Jose, listen, I can just tell you I'll pray for you and leave it there, or I can just tell you, hey, you might want to consider this, and you might or might, forget it or remember it. I would rather prescribe you this like a doctor." And he says, "I am a doctor." And he
mhm.
is. He was a doctor. He's like, "I actually am a doctor, but I also like to prescribe books, not medications, for life. And I think if you read these books, it can change your life, and it'll fix what you're dealing with right now." And I did read them, and my world view opened up, because the
Mm,
more you read, the more your worldview opens up, and you start to see things from a different lens, because you get wiser and wiser and wiser. And people say, "Oh, with age comes wisdom." Well,
mm.
let me be clear here. Sometimes age comes alone. If you're
That's
not
right.
careful, if you're not careful, age comes alone. So you got to stay in the lab of learning, right? Remaining a wipeout in life, being a lifelong learner, super important. And one of the best things you can do to continue to stimulate the intellect and to move that intellectual needle is just read good books.
Absolutely. One of the things that I want to talk about is what you call, and some other people have actually done it, is commonplacing. What is it, and why should we all do commonplacing?
So common placing is a almost a lost art, but not really. That was started long, long time ago. People like Marcus Aurelius back in the Stoic days, the Stoic era in Rome were doing it, right? And all the way down, Seneca, I can name all these Stoics back in the day,
Mhm,
all the way to people like Ronald Reagan and Bill Gates and all of these high level people that are absolutely crushing it in the business world to this day. Like Ronald Reagan, for example, anytime he would do big talks to like global leaders or do like a presidential speech or something or whatever it is that he would do, he would ask himself, what am I going to be talking on today for this particular thing? So he would go to his commonplace book and he would search out the topics of what he would talk about, and he would pull his cards out to say, okay, now I have some quotes, some poems, some things to reference, whatever, data, facts, statistics, all the things. So commonplacing is it's basically what is originally called a commonplace book, right? So they used to put in just a book, like almost like something like this. And then over time, it evolved into different things like index cards and a filing system like that, which is kind of how I do it now. Ryan Holiday is the guy who introduced me to the art of commonplacing, and he learned from his mentor, Robert Greene, who wrote the 48 Laws of Power, among many other books. Mastery is another good one. And it's just the idea of anytime I'm reading something or I'm watching something on TV and somebody says something powerful, or I'm talking to my coach or mentor and they give me some good advice, or I'm reading a magazine like Entrepreneur Magazine or Inc. Magazine or whatever, or Forbes Magazine, and I hear a good statistic or a good article, whatever it is, or I hear a poem that's brilliant, or whatever, anything that I find, I can take that information and I can write it on a 3x5 index card and I can store it for my future use. So if I'm ever doing a speaking engagement, I'm ever deciding to write a book, or I decide to contribute an article to a magazine, or I decide to blog, or I decide to write an email to somebody, or I decide to do some kind of a talk for my son's school or for his baseball team or for a client that I'm coaching, whatever it is, I don't have to remember all the things in here because most of us can't, right? Unless you're like, Elon Musk or something, right? But most of us can't keep all this in here, right? So what we do is we consult our commonplace book. And I'm going to show you, again, another sneak peek here for your show, Sifu.
Thank you.
This is
Appreciate it. You have so much wealth around you. Look at that.
So this is the commonplace book. Sales, thinking, marriage, character, determination, discipline, stoicism, health and wellness, productivity, learning, the power of spoken word, journaling, visualization, affirmations, hope, martial arts, parenting, habits, ownership, intentionality, faith, leadership. And these are some examples, right, of what I would write. I'll give you an example of what I have in there. Let me just plug my laptop back in here. Bear with me. Okay, so these are just some examples of what it could look like, right, in terms of the commonplace piece, right? So here, for example, this one is on decisive parenting, right? So I read a book. So there's a couple things you'll notice of how I felt. First of all, is the category. Parenting is the category, right? And then you have the source. It came from a book. So it says book. Then it's the name of the book, of course. And then on the back is the page of where I got this piece, right, from the particular book. So here it says, I'll read it very quickly. So it says, the child knows that these screens are not really good for him, right? Because, parents leave their kids on screens all the time. After hours of such mind-numbing activity, he feels empty, recognizing the absence of the good that should have been present. He senses that his parents are really not right to be allowing him to do this. Though he cannot articulate it, he recognizes on some level the loss of his dignity in being allowed to medicate his boredom through such captivating entertainment. This is true even though he would forcefully rebel if his parents took the screens away from him, especially if the addictive pattern of drowning boredom through screen use is ingrained. Continued to say, the question parents need to ask about their children's use of screens is whether the screens are helping develop studiousness or contributing to dissipated thoughts and short attention spans. So that is page 56 and page 13. Now, from this book. And then I have here from Forbes. I'm not going to read this right now, but productivity is a category. It's a website, Forbes.com. And this here is on the whole time management and the power of 1440 by Kevin Kruse, right? He says we have 1,440 minutes in a day. And it goes into that. So, but these are things, poems, quotes, thoughts, ideas, statistics, facts, whatever. You take it, and every single day I commonplace 5 things. In my evening routine, I ask myself, what did I read? Who did I talk to? What did I watch? What did I see? What did I hear? 5 things that I'm going to file away for my future reference. And in the future, I can go and I can pull out whatever I need to plug into whatever it is that I'm doing. Really, really powerful stuff.
Oh my goodness, Jose, I got to tell you, it only makes so much sense that people are still looking at your program, joining your group of Connected Leaders Academy, because you are so free in sharing the knowledge that you've acquired, and you're helping people do the same. I love the energy that you bring. I'm excited. I'm part of Connected Leaders Academy as well. Let's talk about and probably finalize this incredible podcast. And it's only incredible not when I speak, but when you do. That's why I'm listening so intently. On your personal project time, what does that mean? Give us the idea of what this is all entailing.
So we all have things we need to do, right? For example, you might be launching a new course. You might be writing a chapter to a book, like I'm currently doing for Marianne, or should I say Reverend Dr. Marianne Pageant, shout out to her. Or maybe I'm writing a book, not a contributing author. Maybe I'm writing my own book. Maybe I am developing a program of some kind. Maybe I'm preparing for a live event, whether it's virtual or in person. Maybe I am working on an article for a magazine, a contributor to a magazine. Whatever it is that you're doing, right? You're doing something on a personal, professional level. We all need to create time to do it. We don't find a time because time doesn't go anywhere. There's only 24 hours in a day, right? We don't find the time. We create the time in our calendar to make things happen, right? Anything that falls together falls apart. We have to make things happen in life. So what I do is I install on the bookends of my day, morning routine, evening routine, 25 minutes and 25 minutes of personal project time. We're talking about almost an hour of me moving the needle on a project that I'm working on. And we have to create the time, because if we're not careful, guess what happens? We get busy and we get inundated with all kinds of things, and then we never do the thing. And then the book that you say you're going to write happens 5 years from now, 10 years from now, maybe never, because intentions don't equal results. Why do you think there's so many books that were never written in the cemetery, as Les Brown talks about? Because people had the intention to do it and they never did it, and they took it away with them, and we never are going to read those books. So the reality is, whatever it is that you're trying to achieve in life on a personal, professional level, you have to install it on the bookends of your day, called personal project time. And you got to ask yourself, what are the things that I'm working on? What is the main thing I want to get done for the month of June for this particular thing? And then what do I need to get done on a weekly basis in order to move that monthly goal? And then reverse engineer, how am I going to break it down on a daily basis and prioritize it from 1 to 5? Let's just say you have 5 things you're working on, and ask yourself, what's the most important to the least important? Then you install that personal project time on the front and the back end of your day. And if you're doing this, can I tell you something? You will get things launched. You will create that membership. You will write the book. You will launch the event. You will do all these things. And I have so many things that I've done. Sifu Rafael, so many. I'm a 19-time published author, many of which are bestseller, many of which are international bestsellers. Do you think I would have had the time to do that with how busy I am? No. But because I have personal project time, I get things done. And I can tell you example after example after example, personal project time is a requirement in life and in business if you want to actually execute and get things done.
Oof, love it. Love it. Jose, let me share this with you and everybody else. Take a look. You followed the rules, tried the restrictions, counted the carbs, the steps, and the failures. You're not lazy. You're exhausted from doing it all without real change. What if the problem isn't you, but the plan? Sifu's Mind-Body Method is a 90-day transformation built on 7 unshakable pillars: mindset, movement, nutrition, hydration, fasting, journaling, and faith. This isn't another shortcut. It's your structure, your strength, your reset. You don't need harder, you need better. Ready to begin? Start today. Jose, I am beyond thrilled that you are also part of my Sifu's Mind Body Method. We've had a lot of people make comments today. You have a lot of friends all over the world. You have created something truly unique, your community of Connected Leaders Academy. And we're talking today about your book, and I'm encouraging everybody to get the book today. I love the fact that it's an easy read. It's something that you can actually use for commonplace, right? You can actually write some index cards on this book. There's great advice in this book that you should just pick it up. Don't hesitate. Listen, to pick Jose's brain, it's going to cost you a lot of money. But to get it in a book, not that much. And share this book. When you go to the website, go ahead and buy the book, not only for yourself, but share it with some friends. This is what true friendship is, when you can give somebody, like Jose does, give somebody something worthwhile reading for them to read, and maybe get something that will change the trajectory of their life, because you've done that over and over and over again, Jose. You're not just a great friend, you're a great mentor, you're a great coach. What is next for you? 19-time bestseller. What is next, my friend?
So I have a couple of things that are next, and I'll be brief. I have four more anthologies in the pipeline as we speak. One of them is actually with Reverend Dr. Marianne Pageant. So excited! A big shout out to her. And then, of course, we're now at 511
Mm.
members in the Connected Leaders Academy as of today. And we have expanded into 30 countries now, and we're in 47 states across the US. So things are moving and shaking there. The next phase of the CLA is we're going to hit 1,000 members. Mark my words, we're moving towards 1,000 members. It's not about quantity, it's about quality, right? We have amazing people. I enrolled every single person myself, right? There is no link people can go to, or a QR code they can do to sign up. I enroll everybody, I vet everybody myself, make sure they qualify and they fit our culture. So there's that. That's our next phase of growth. And then, of course, we have a big event in October, the Connected Leaders Academy Global Summit here in Maryland. We have our next global virtual conference happening in September 30th. If you're a speaker out there and you want to get on the stage, I'm telling you right now, reach out to me, and I'd love to consider to have you on our stage. I'm looking for world-class speakers, professional speakers who want to take their business to the next level. And then lastly, I would say I'm also working on a couple of hidden projects that I don't quite want to reveal yet, but I'm always up to something, right? Because my mind always thinks,
Oh,
how
yeah.
can I add more value to the people that I serve? I'm always thinking that way. And a lot of times it is just something new. Sometimes it's reinventing or tweaking or adjusting or adding to what I already have. And sometimes it's reinventing and maybe starting something new. So stay tuned, folks. And big shout out to Emilio and Daniela Roman from Co-Author Network. They actually are the publishers of this book that I put out that went bestseller. Much love to them as well.
Love it. Love it. Jose, we have your website going across the bottom. This is how they can connect with you. Your email is even there. You put it out there for people to find you, to connect with you. Um, what can somebody expect when they go to your website?
So if you go to my website, connectedleadersacademy.com, you'll see a short 7-8 minute video to give you a snippet, an idea of what it is that we do with the Connected Leaders Academy. You'll see some testimonials on there. You'll see a breakdown of kind of what we're about, and then you can schedule a call with me. If you're an entrepreneur, you have a business, and you want to explore the Connected Leaders Academy, and really it's just for anybody who wants to get on more podcasts, get on more stages and speaking engagements if you're a speaker, leads, referrals, collaborations, endorsements, more clients, JV partnerships, more money, you name it, right? All that stuff happens in a CLA. And along the way, you build lifelong friendships too. So if you're a business owner, you're an entrepreneur, you want to go to another level with your business, and you want to learn about CLA, Connected Leaders Academy, of which Sifu is a part of, and many people in the chats as we speak, then just book a call with me. It's called a virtual coffee. My calendar link is on my website. Book a call with me. Let's chat. And if you check out my other website, winningthedaybook.com, you can get signed, personalized copies of this phenomenal book that is, again, low-hanging fruit to change your life on a personal and professional level. So good to see you, Tom, and many others that are in the chat.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody definitely go get the book. Recommend the book highly because I've read it. And what can I say? Not only have I read it, but I've been in rooms with this gentleman, and he is a phenomenal speaker as well. So if you even need somebody at your event to inspire others, book a call with Jose, get things happening. Jose, my friend, what an incredible day that you have planned every day, because you do the right thing. You planned the day before, you you make it happen first thing in the morning. So thank you for being who you are and inspiring all of us to become even better. Everybody, do me a favor, share the show. Somebody needs to hear Jose's message today. Do me a favor, Jose, stick on for a minute, and then everybody, have yourself an exceptional rest of the day. Take care, everybody. Thank you for watching Author's Tales. Stay updated and meet new authors. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Sifu Rafael TV. Follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn, and visit our website. Your support means the world to us.